Hi everyone! Today we are here for another book review video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I've decided to start releasing them monthly alongside my art tutorial videos so that every month there are two videos going out, probably about 2 weeks apart, one of them an art tutorial video and one of them a book review video. So to get that kicked off, we are going to be looking at Andrew Wyeth, an autobiography, and this book on Antonio Lopez Garcia's drawings. So I'm excited to get into these. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with this book on Antonio Lopez Garcia. Now, I've reviewed one other Antonio Lopez Garcia book on this channel before, but that was more focused on his paintings, or maybe more holistic career. I'd have to look through it to remember for sure, but this one is specifically about his drawings. So if you're a diehard Antonio Lopez Garcia fan, then this book is probably for you, but I do want to warn you, it's pretty expensive. It is cool though, because it has a short interview in the beginning, essay, a short essay in the beginning of the book written by Antonio Lopez Garcia, and it's all in English, and so I could read it, and that was fascinating. And then it has a second longer essay written by a different author that's kind of taking Antonio Lopez Garcia's work and putting it in the context of Antonio Lopez's thoughts on his own work, and then those thoughts compared to a larger art context or an art historical context. So that was kind of an interesting read. It's a little bit dense, so I didn't read the entire thing, but I did enjoy the parts that I did read. I'll tell you right now, my one gripe with this book is the pages that span two, because you lose the whole middle of the drawing or a whole section of the drawing. But otherwise, the images are very high res and good quality. So let's see. The other thing that I wish I could quote it word for word, but I know I'll mess it up. But there was a really, really fascinating quote on Antonio Lopez Garcia's thoughts of the various art mediums, so sculpture, drawing, painting, and he compared drawing to a black and white movie versus a painting being more like a movie in color. And it was fascinating. So I'm going to put that in the description. So I highly recommend you go check it out and read it, because I thought that more than anything gave fascinating insight into Antonio Lopez Garcia's mind and the way that he thinks about art. And I think that's a pretty beautiful thing whenever you get to get that insight into an artist's art brain. And the other thing that was really fascinating that I learned through reading the essay that Antonio Lopez Garcia wrote is that he was actually encouraged to draw from an early age by his uncle. And his uncle was an artist who gave him lots of encouragement and instruction, and Antonio Lopez Garcia learned a lot by comparing his work to his uncle's work. So I always think that's pretty interesting when an artist has that influence in their life and utilizes it, to the fullest. And that's what Antonio Lopez Garcia did. He really took what his uncle was teaching him and pushed himself to move, beyond what he was doing before, and let his uncle's influence improve his own skill. So that was there's some really interesting tidbits in here. So I'll have more written up in the description, but another cool thing is seeing the preparatory drawings for his sculptures, because I know sculptors do them obviously, but it's nice to be able to see them. So yeah, really good wide-ranging book on Antonio Lopez Garcia's drawings. Next, we're going to cover this book on Andrew Wyeth. This is Andrew Wyeth, Autobiography, with introduction by Thomas Hoving. Now, I don't know how familiar everyone is with Andrew Wyeth, but if you do know anything about Andrew Wyeth, then you've probably heard of the book, The Two Worlds of Andrew Wyeth. And that one is actually an interview, essentially a transcribed interview between Andrew Wyeth and Thomas Hoving. So Thomas Hoving is a good person for this introduction. It's very interesting. Some fascinating tidbits about Andrew Wyeth in there. But what makes this book so special is that each painting in it has, on the same page or on the opposite page, a direct quote about that particular piece, whether it be a painting, a drawing, anything, from Andrew Wyeth himself. So I thought that was so cool because I don't feel like that's something we get a ton of, specific information from the artist about a specific painting. I feel like in a lot of the books I've read, it's typically more general information, but Andrew Wyeth is one, and I think that's partly why he's so fascinating to so many people, is because you can get such specific information about specific paintings from him. And as far as I've been able to come across, I don't know a ton of other artists I could say the same for that I'm interested in. Let me clarify that. There's maybe some abstract expressionists out there that are very detailed about their pieces, but when it comes to artists that I want to read about, I feel like I'm always lacking information, except for with Wyeth. So yeah, so some interesting tidbits that I came across in this book were that he loved taking risks. Early in his career, he loved technique and was very proud of his technique. And later in life, he was like, oh, I don't give a damn about technique. So that's kind of cool. And then another interesting story that's in this book was about a time when he was working on a painting of his wife. And from that experience, he gleaned that, you don't have to put life into a scene. If you wait long enough and are patient enough, the life will come. So yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a really great book. It's not very long. It's not very expensive. I think I got my copy for $10, $15 from Strand. So yeah, highly recommend. I hope you guys enjoyed looking through those books with me. I am so excited to say that next month we are going to go over 2 books by some incredible still life painters. And sneak peek, these are them. So if you're interested in seeing more, go ahead and stick around, and I'll see you next time.